Two, three. Welcome to the Sevillistas Worldwide podcast. This is episode 108 of our, I guess this is the wrap up for season 4 for this podcast, I believe. I think we're season 4 wrap up here. It's been a while, guys. We haven't talked since, I think, like February, March. I don't even know when it was, but we were talking about this on the kind of the pre-show. We should record those from now on and just there's probably some really good outtakes and stuff we can throw on the blooper reel or something. But anyway, we were talking about just why we didn't want to really talk about Sevilla, and it's just been tough. I think this season's been tough, and we'll get into that. We're gonna get into next season. We're all ready to turn the page more than any other season, I think, in my Sevillista fandom. I'm ready to just bury the season and move on. I think everybody in the club's kind of feeling the same way as well. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about changes that's coming up. Going to be a lot of changes. New manager again, fourth manager in less than 12 months. Holy cow, that's amazing. And then we'll talk about players that might stay, might go, maybe some players that come in. I think it's probably too early to really start pinpointing any of that, but we'll get into all that and more. I've got Eddie up in Toronto, Canada. How you doing, Eddie? Anything new? Long time.
Not much is new, but we're safe. Glad to be talking Sevilla now that everything is done, because it was a long season that was exhausting, as if last season wasn't. This one certainly was. So just glad to be joining y'all again.
I guess the only Sevillistas that put in less effort than the players, or maybe this podcast. Sorry for up there in the land. But we'll own it. We didn't really want to talk about it. Anyway, also got Steve up in Minnesota with the leftover winter beard there. I'm enjoying that. Got the U.S. shirt on. The women took care of business tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday night, June 4th. Women won. The U.S. women won against South Korea, I believe it was. We were playing, and I got to see just a couple seconds of that game. But congratulations to them. Steve, what's new up in the Great White North?
Not anything really. Living the spring soccer life. We got 2 kids in soccer right now. Our daughter's in a traveling program, and our son is in kindergarten, so he's just kind of chasing the ball and kicking shins. Things settled down nicely. We're kind of getting ready for the summer routine, and I don't know. It's weird to think we've only got 2 months until we're really kicking off the next season. In August 16th, I've got it circled on my whiteboard in my office at work. Just getting geared up. We don't have that much longer.
That's amazing. And when you put it in that kind of perspective, it's a little bit scary because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in this off season. And holy cow, that's a scary date that you put on the calendar there, buddy. Luckily, we don't have any kind of playoffs or anything in the off season that we have to worry about. So it's strictly business as usual going in. So this was the 2023-2024 season of Sevilla. It's the 134th season of our beloved football club, and it's finally over. Started out fun. They came to the U.S. and Mexico in the summer, way back in July and August of 2023. It seems like so long ago. We got to go and see them, and some of our guys went to Detroit and saw them in Detroit. Some of us saw them in Mexico, and some of us saw them in San Francisco, or 1 or 2 or 3 of those. Anyway, Fun times. Get to see some of the players and the manager Mendelibar, the new sporting director Orta came in. So a lot of changes last summer too. Just probably not as many as we really needed. We got some new players in like Luca Bacchio. That was exciting. Everybody was excited about that. Some folks in the midfield. Sergio Ramos came in really late in the offseason. He didn't make the summer trips. Too bad for us, but that would have been cool to see. But anyway, and then we played in the UEFA Super Cup. I forgot that we did that. Not really, but once I started doing some research on the season, I saw that and I was like, oh yeah. And we almost won that game. We were playing Man City. And we drew 1-1, took the lead in the 25th minute, I believe it was, with Nesri scoring a goal. They tied it in like the 60th minute, went all the way to extra time, and went to penalties. And Goodell missed the 5th penalty kick, hit it off the crossbar to lose the match for us. And we were so close to winning that trophy. And when it went to penalties, I thought we had it because Bono was still here at the time. He was in goal. Yeah, I thought that was. I thought it was us when we went to penalties. I thought we had it, but just came short. Goodell with that bang off the crossbar. Anyway, that's it. And then we come out and we lose 3 straight games in the La Liga season. Get our first win against Las Palmas, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And that got us out of that last spot in the league. We were actually in dead last in La Liga at that point. Right after that, we lost a heartbreaker in Barcelona. Played that game really well. Came close. On goal late by Sergio Ramos. And then we drew at home with Rayo, and that led to the sacking of Mendilibar right after that. Winning only 2 of the first 8 matches of the season. The team decided they wanted to try something different. And by different, they entered in a guy that many people didn't really know, Diego Alonso, a.k.a. Draw Alonso, who kind of famously didn't win a single match with Sevilla in his brief period here. Ended up getting sacked before the end of December. Sevilla already on their 3rd manager before January. Enter Kiki Sanchez Flores. And he also came out and didn't do very well. Lost his first 4 games. We also crashed out of the Champions League during the Champions League during Alonso. That wasn't at the fault of Kiki Sanchez Flores. But anyway, lots of up and downs. He kind of rights the ship a little bit. We started playing a little bit better, getting some results. Ended up finishing 14th in the table. But after a very frustrating year, it left all the fans very disappointed, frustrated. There's actually a protest at the last game against Barcelona. The fans, voicing their frustration, didn't come into the game until the 10th minute. Was very present on the game. That last home game was really strange. Our buddy Shindem, who's been on the podcast before, this was his actually first Sevilla game. He booked it specially when he found out that Navas was supposed to be probably his last Sevilla home game. So he hurried up and booked the tickets to take his father and wanted to see Navas's last game. Of course, that didn't happen. We'll talk about that a little bit later maybe, but good old Shindem, he got to see his first game in Sevilla. However, it was not the greatest atmosphere. There was a lot of protests throughout the game, a lot of shouting at the board to resign, at the president to resign, and just a very frustrating experience. Similar to my first Sevilla experience back in 2012 or 2013, whenever that first game was. I don't remember the exact year. It was 2012, sorry, and the fans were doing the same thing with the guy trying to become president again, Del Nito Sr., voicing their frustration, telling him to leave the club and resign. And A little bit around the maybe stealing of money and stuff that he did in Malaga, but there was other things too. The club was not doing well. A lot of debt with the program, even though that's debatable by some people on Twitter, which we won't go into. But from my recollection, there was some debt with the club at that time and some uncertainty. So anyway, it's a shame that was his first, but I'm hoping he can get back for many more in the future. Maybe we can do a Monty's Men trip up there with him and some other guys and really celebrate and do it well. Either way, that was pretty much it. That's how the season ended. Very blah. That's it. Last game, no effort. Much like most of the season, you had players calling out the team throughout the season. Fernando ended up leaving the squad early, calling out the team for lack of effort. And by team, certain players, not everybody, but we saw Rakitic, one of our legends, leave early, even before the December or contract rescinded before the January window came up. I can't remember what his last game, but actually playing somewhat decent for the club. Had a lot of assists for us, but you could just tell the slowdown and tiredness in his legs, I believe. So anyway, the club started making some changes, brought some guys in. One of the biggest transitions for us and reasons for success to get us out of those bottom spots was bringing up Isak Romero from Sevilla Atletico. Also, before I forget it, congratulations to Sevilla Atletico for winning their group and progressing up to the next tier of Spanish football. So good on those guys, man. That was excellent. Losing a player like Isak in the middle of the season and still pulling it off was tremendous. They've got some really interesting players down there that I'm hoping we can see soon up in the top tier. Even some of the guys we brought in January that came into that squad, they're looking really good, and it was very impactful. Season ended up, Lucas Ocampos led the team, not to anybody's surprise probably, in total minutes played, 2,871 total minutes played, followed by Jens Yusuf Enesri's 2,570, which is kind of surprising that he was second on the team considering he missed some games with the African Cup of Nations in January. So just shows you kind of his importance for this club and where he ended up. Top goal scorers for the year, Yen, 20 total goals over all competitions. First time he's done that in his career. Really, really good season. Didn't start out the greatest, but just like he did a few years back, he just poured it on when he came back after the World Cup and did really well. Sergio Ramos actually finished second in the team in scoring 7 goals on the year in all competitions from a central defender. That's amazing to me, especially a 37-year-old central defender still doing it. Isak, new guy we just talked about, 6 goals on the year coming in January. Super impactful, super exciting to see where that player ends up next year, coming back from injury. Campos and Luca Bacchio both finished with 5, and then Gudeli, Salas, and Rafa Mir with 3 goals on the year to finish out the kind of top scoring. Everybody else had like 2 or 1. Assist on the year, Suso, top of the table. Suso Nation, 5 assists on the year, all competitions. Next up, Isak, Pedrosa, Campos, Rakitic, and Acuna all had 4 in second place. We haven't seen a guy in double-digit assists in how long? I don't even remember the last one. It's been a long time. Maybe Banega. No, even Banega didn't have like 10 assists. I don't know. I'd like to see who the last double-digit assist guy was.
Might have been Navas. One of those.
Very well
right?
could have been Navas. Yeah, I was thinking that. Sorry, allergies down here. It's crazy. Anyway, something that came up, expected goals. I'm not a huge expected goals guy. I don't really like that stat, but just looking at it, just kind of like piqued my interest. Yusuf Enesri, 12.6 expected goals. He ended up scoring 20. It's pretty interesting stat to me, I thought, because he's got a really big reputation of missing a lot of goals, but be above that. Pretty cool. Isak, 7.3. Ended up with 6 And then Sergio Ramos, 3.7, ended up with 7 goals. So kind of an interesting thing there. Guys, season's over. How glad are you that that is the truth? Anything stick out that you want to talk about the season at all? Or are you just ready to just flip the page, move on, and burn it? That's kind of my feeling. Eddie, first up.
There's a lot that we did not enjoy from this season, considering we were flirting with relegation at the end of the last one, and Mendilibar transforming the end of that season into what it was. So actually facing that reality again this year is like, wow, we were really this terrible and mismanaged. And pull through, Nuka Serinde in a different kind of way that we're used to in recent years. But there's still some things that I enjoyed, namely Isaac that we've mentioned, an absolute godsend. But we knew of Isaac even before that. It's just this squad is so there's so many players on this team that it was difficult to get rid of some players, not to use that word rid, but to make some space. We even had to let Fernando and Rakitic go, our pillars from the Europa League win the year before, or like 6 months prior. We had to let them go in January, and those guys usually give a send off at the end of the season, just to make space for Isaac. But thankfully we did. I guess that was one of the sacrifices we had to do. And seeing, well, just not to jump ahead too much, but like with Orta having a whole summer to work, just the players he brought in, like Nealand, seeing players like him, perhaps the lone players like Soumaré and Agoume playing decent in the midfield. So a little indifferent about how he did, but in terms of the players that came in, even like being not agreeing with the Ramos signing and how he turned his season around, because it did not start well. So just to look at some of the positives, things to take out, Onwanlu and Kike Salas being some of the young players coming up from Sevilla Atletico and actually earning a spot on the starting lineup. Hopefully you could see more of that. And other players that are filling in, Luka Bacchio, Enesiri being our 20-goal killer that we always look for, right? We always wanted a striker to score 20 goals, and he's right here. And Ocampos as ever present as ever. That's captain material, future captain material, if you ask me. But going into the summer, I'm pretty optimistic because of how bad it was this season. But there's still some positives from this season that keep me more optimistic than pessimistic, right? Especially with a new coach coming in that we'll get into. But it seems like there's a project that's trying to be built here.
Yeah, it seems like that. Definitely. Steve, how much do you think, and I think I know your answer, but how much do you think the upper management played on the results of this season? What could have been done differently, and what did they get right?
You mean the results of the season from last year? Like
2023, 2024. Yeah. This season.
This year.
This season.
So like how much of an influence did they play on it? Basically, is what you're asking.
Upper management. Front office.
I think that I hate our upper management. I'm just gonna go and say that. I am on the record saying that nothing in this club is going to progress in a meaningful manner until we absolutely just clean house in the boardroom and upper management, because whatever has happening in upper management, one thing we can take for granted, one thing we can take to the bank rather is, they're going to get me in their own way. I think that they botched Monchi leaving, going back to kind of the end of last year. They absolutely botched that entire situation. Monchi is a stalwart at this club, in the same way that, I would argue in the same way that like Jesus Navas is a stalwart as a player. Monchi was a pillar of this club. Now, a lot can be said about his second stint with us and how successful was that really, based on some of the purchases that he made and some of the decisions that were made. But when you've got a person that is as prominent in the club as he is, that is leaving for the reasons that it's purported that he left, that reflects very poorly on your front office. And because of that, we were at the time we felt like we were stuck with Orta, who had just been relegated and things weren't looking up there. I'm not going to talk about the success that Orta has had or the failures that he's had. I don't think 1 year is enough to judge anybody in his position. But his signings have been kind of hit or miss as well. But like we'll be able to judge that in a more complete way. But like I said, he should never have had to have been hired in the manner that he did when he was hired, because they could have handled the exit of Monchi much better if they knew that it was coming. And after the sporting director, we get to our coaches, we get to the managers. I know that, even going into last season, the whole thing with Lopetegui was some people wanted him, some people didn't, and they couldn't come to a decision on it, and it just extended everything into the year. We got rid of him in October. The next coach that we brought in was not even a new coach for us. He was a returning coach who had worked with a lot of people in the front office before. He was behind the eight ball, and that is very similarly reflected with what happened with Mendilibar. We were coming off of a season that we probably should not have had the success that we did in, because I might be crucified for saying this, but we got lucky in the Europa League. We played well, we really did, but based on our league play, we never, like, it was night and day. We should not have had the success that we did. It just goes to show what certain teams can do in knockout competitions. And I think we rode that too far. We put too much expectation on Mendilibar at the time, and we did not set ourselves up into a position to actually make signings that would play into his style of play. And we did have a poor start to the season under him, and then we pulled the rug out from under him and fired him, signed somebody else, and we threw our brand new coach. His first game was against Real Madrid. How can anybody in their right mind make that decision? That's not something that is going to set them up for success. And then he had to go in. I think it was 4 days later he coached against Arsenal or something like that in the Champions League. We can talk about the lack of success that we had underneath João Alonso, but the fact of the matter is our front office did not set him up for success. They just kind of threw him in there. I don't think it was even during the international break, was it? It was just kind of right towards the tail end of one, maybe. But we didn't give him the time, and they made a rushed decision. And then we kind of lucked in to Sanchez Flores in January, who kind of mirrored what Mendilibar did for us, where he steadied the ship and he got us safe. But the signings of players is one thing, and I don't really have any gripes against that. But the managing of coaching staff is, I think, a black mark on the boardroom. I don't know why they can't make decisions. If they made one bad decision, and okay, that's fine, like that happens. But they seem to be alienating managers, and it's to the point now where if things don't go well with our new manager, like, who's going to want to come play for us or coach for us, rather? Um, we're not really in a situation where we can choose from the cream of the crop right now, and that's unfortunate because there's a lot of managers in Europe that are without jobs right now that would be, I think, pretty good fits for Sevilla, but we don't have the reputation that we did 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and that is squarely on the shoulders of our front office and the boardroom.
Same front office that won 5 Europa League championships and finished Champions League position 4 years in a row. I mean, it's so weird. Like, they've had such success, but then also so many failures recently that's just changed the fan base so much.
The mark of a good front, I can just jump in there. The mark of a good front office is not whether or not you can have success, it's whether or not you can come back from downtimes and retool, because the style of play that was, I mean, we were going on our first run in the Europa League 10 years ago, right? When we won the 3 in a row. That was a decade ago. The style of play, the style of management, just the game itself has evolved in 10 years. And if we can't keep up with that, then that's in the front office. Like, we need to be flexible. We need to grow. We can't be stuck in one mindset. We have to be able to adapt as the game does. And our front office hasn't, like, I think the results show that our front office is not capable of doing that. There might be individuals in the front office that can. There might be single people or a handful of people that can do that, but working together or not working together, as they more often do, they can't come to a consensus. And we don't have any kind of unified direction from a single person or a group of people in the front office, because there's so many different ideas about how things should be run. And we can't, they spend more time fighting with each other than they do leading this team.
I don't know that that's true. I think the fight is between the board, but not management per se. The fight's in the boardroom, right? Like, which is totally different. You've got an outside force that has a large number of shares without a vote that is trying to force decision making from outside the room, if you will, right? Like, it's not necessarily the front office people that are in fighting.
I mean, that boardroom, though, trickles down into the front office, because that boardroom is the reason why we could not let Lopetegui go.
Well, that's it.
We should have in the middle of the year. It's a case of people that are in power at the club that should not be making football decisions are influencing or trying to influence football decisions. And a team can't be run like that.
But do you blame the front office for that, or do you blame Del Nito Sr. for causing chaos?
I blame the boardroom for that. Like, that starts at the top. And ultimately the boardroom is the one that puts the front office in place, right?
What are they supposed to do? I guess so. They can't control what the largest shareholder is spewing at the mouth. Like, how do they control that without doing more than what they're doing? Like, they're put in a box. I'm not trying to defend them necessarily. I'm just playing devil's advocate of, like, they've seemed to have had good success. They've made really bad decisions, and don't. I hope you don't take this that I'm trying to defend these and put them on a pedestal that I think they're great, because personally I think they've made a ton of mistakes, and they should have recognized when Lopetegui's third year, you've got all these aging players. Dude, now's the time to at least partially rebuild. Like, they totally missed the opportunity there. But I mean, they went for it. They tried to win the league. They failed, but they did it, and that's what the fans have always been wanting us to do. They've done some things that the fans really wanted us to push for, and then just because we're having some bad times, and really only 2 years of bad times, which I consider pretty lucky for where we are as a franchise. Like we don't have the budget as all these other teams, but we're still having good success. We should have success because that's what we've been built for, and Monchi plays a big role of that. But I think some of the flack that they're getting might not be exactly justified, and maybe be pointed to the chaos that's caused by a guy that lost his position because he ended up going to jail for fraud. And it's an unfortunate position that we're in, and it's a shame that every game we have to listen to the announcers explain that to the laymen that aren't Sevilla fans. We have to hear it every game, and it's frustrating. And I wish there was a solution. I really do. Is that solution Del Nito Sr. coming back and taking over? Is that the best for this club? I don't know that it is.
No, and that's not what I'm arguing for. And
yeah,
I'm not saying that I have the answers to this. I'm not saying that one thing is like Senior coming back is better, or him ducking out completely and just leaving it in his son's hands, which would never happen. There's a snowball's chance in hell of that happening. But what I'm saying is that the disjointedness that comes with our boardroom reflects poorly enough on our club that we are not able to attract the talent that we need, whether that's in the front office, whether that's as management, whether that's as players. All of that trickles down, and that undermines the success that they have brought to this club.
Yeah,
that undermines the
I
success
agree with
they've
you.
had, and that undermines like everything else that we have seen in the last decade. It tints that. It makes that appear to be borderline fraudulent and lucky. Like people can look at that, and it's, which is why I say I don't have the answers. But until something gets figured out and we have some stability in the boardroom and some stability in the front office that's connected with that, we are not going to have meaningful, sustained success on the pitch, because we need to start at the top.
There seems to be a lack of focus on who we are, right? And what the club is about, and celebrating the people that made the club what it is. And that goes to players, it goes to coaches. And there's a perfect example of that this year when Fernando, if I'm not mistaken, it was Fernando, and hopefully I'm not wrong. He's celebrating his 200th match with the club, I believe. It's raining at the pitch. Fernando's out on the pitch by himself to get the jersey with the 200 on it. No other player, no captain from the club, no front office person out there getting wet. It's this guy getting wet by himself. Legend of the club, one of our best players for a while now, and here he is by himself getting celebrated. And they're just because it's raining. Like it just, for me, it was kind of symbolic of kind of where we are right now. We're kind of losing that focus of pride. They've tried to walk that back because they got a lot of flack from that, and you could see like Navas coming out presenting it and that sort of thing for some of these other milestones with the Campos and Oliver Torres and that sort of thing. But it just
and
that really rubbed me the wrong way at that point.
Yeah. Not to take anything away from Torres, but he received more fanfare than Fernando did, and I think that is completely misaligned. I mean, if one of those two is going to receive the more fanfare, it should have been Fernando. In
some ways, but Torres, if you knew Torres off the field, and I'm not claiming I do, but if you watch those behind the scenes and everything, Torres is that player that's always out there smiling, signing things, hugging kids. He's a really big beloved, and he's a Spaniard, so he's got kind of this status that Fernando probably didn't have with the club. I'm not saying that Fernando wasn't nice to the fans or anything. Don't get me wrong, but Oliver was probably the nicest guy that we've had on this club in a long time, just from the outside looking in. Maybe Nolito was the next guy on that list, but beloved. But we're kind of off base here a little bit, but it's all good points, and it comes up to being like, you know, what's wrong? And that's what we're trying to get at. My biggest concern, and I think where I have the biggest problem with our management, is 2-3 years ago, I can't remember when it was, the plan was to make Champions League for 4 seasons, and then that's going to set us up for years, right? They said that. We did it.
We did that.
We did it. And then now where are we? We're finishing 14th in the league. That seems like some sort of something. I mean, the pandemic happened, sure. There was a lot of losses there somehow. I don't still understand the money. I also don't understand, you know, the vice president getting paid 750,000 euros and the president getting, you know, 750,000 euros to run a team. But I'm not, you know, a decision maker on financing. That just seems like a very big sum for 2 players at the very top, or 2 management at the very top. But anyway, where's the money? That's kind of like my biggest thing. You promised something. There was a lot of money there. The financials just really didn't line up to me. And also with this club, we went a whole season without a front sponsor on a shirt this year. A whole season with the Champions League club, a team that just came off of a Europa League victory, and we don't have a main shirt sponsor for the whole season.
Yeah,
probably
who
the
screws
only.
that up? Like, how is that even possible? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the way it looked. It looked clean as hell.
Oh, yeah.
But
But when a team needs money,
that's a lot of revenue that is just not there. And how's that possible?
I don't know. I'm hoping to get some answers on that sometime this season. I don't know. I'm hoping. I want to ask that question just to see, like, why? Because I think it's a good question, and hopefully we don't go into next season with the same thing. Hopefully they get solved pretty soon. We can get something going. But either way, I mean, it is nice to be able to buy those kits without the without some sort of betting company or shady crypto scam people on the front of the shirts. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much the season. MVP, you guys have an MVP for the season? Who would it be if you had to choose right now? Eddie, you've been silent.
Isaac Romero, hands down.
Steve?
Yeah, I would go the same way. You can make the argument for Yusuf En-Nesyri just with his 20 goals. But a lot of those goals came after he and Isak started playing up front, and Isak was creating a lot of opportunities for him. But yeah, I think that you definitely have to give it to Isak Romero.
I'm going to go Yin. I mean, 20 goal scorer. The work that he puts in, tirelessly running around, playing defense when he has to, trying to get in behind. Like, that's got to be so frustrating when you don't get balls played to you very often. And but then to come up in the big moments that he has, and scoring in different ways than we've seen this year, you know, with some good shots, some footwork at times. We even saw that some this year, especially that last game, man. He was pulling out some tricks we've never seen from En-Nesyri. Probably in his last Sevilla game, but we can talk about that in a bit. Most improved player? You guys got a most improved for the year?
Most improved? Honestly, I don't know if I have one. I'm reluctantly gonna give it to Quique Salas. I'm not sure. I'm willing to go not applicable here because I feel everyone kind of played up to par.
Wow.
Quique Salas because
Suso? No,
Suso, if anything, underachieved, but or he's the injuries, man. There's the injuries.
His underachievement this year is still an improvement over last year. So
let's just not talk about Suso right now. But Quique Salas because I'm not maybe not his biggest fan because
Yeah, that's an understatement.
but we did not have any center backs to play, right? Honestly, we only had Bade, Ramos, and Kike Salas to play. So for him to step up and not pull a Carmona and have to get subbed off in the middle of the game and never come back, right? I would say there was some improvement there for sure, and he's incredible in the air as well. So he is coming along, and hopefully he continues on that path because he's still young and he can still learn. I mean, playing beside Ramos, who knows how much he's soaked in, and having the season finish, perhaps he can now relax and then take in all that he's learned in such a grueling season. So I haven't given up on him. It's just that I want to see more from him. And he's probably capable of. So I'll give it to Kike Salas on most improved.
All right. Steve, most improved?
I think for me, most improved is probably going to be goalkeeper Newland. We talked briefly before this about maybe having like a breakout or a newcomer player as well, but and I think he would have fit well in there. But no, he came in with zero expectations, right? Like we had very little expectations because we thought Dimitrovic was going to be our I don't know, routine number one between the sticks. That proved to be kind of short-sighted and didn't really pan out due to some poor play by Dimitrovic. And Newland stepped up, and by the end of the year, I was feeling really confident in him, and he played himself into a new contract, and I am feeling much better about going into next year with Newland, knowing that Newland is going to be in the sticks and provide some stability there. And the fact that he is a Norwegian international, and Norway unfortunately doesn't get to play in a whole lot of the premier tournaments, means that most of the games he's going to be playing in his career are going to be, or in his season, are going to be for us. So I don't know, I'm thinking I'm going to go with Newland for that, and stick there.
It's a good shout. Norway's not in the Euros, right? No. Just
no, they're not. They've got one of the most prolific goal scorers in Premier League over the last 2 years.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly.
It's kind of a weird
thing to
think about.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if they made it or not, but yeah. I'm going to go Sergio Ramos. He's a new player to the team this year, but from where he started, and we talked about this early in the season, we were just cursing him. Like, it seemed like every goal that was scored against Sevilla early on was at a fault from Ramos. Either a stupid foul given up, and then they score off a set piece, an own goal against Barcelona, a red card in that other match. I can't remember which one that was, but and then to turn around and see glimpses of the Sergio Ramos of old, and then also being the second leading scorer on this team, it was just tremendous. And it changed me from not wanting him on the team. I was so against the signing at the very beginning, to me thinking that another year of Sergio Ramos wouldn't be so bad if the money was right. And that's, to me, the definition of most improved, I think. And that's who's going to get my vote. We were talking on the pregame show, breakout player or surprise player, I guess. We're going to kind of combine those two, breakout player, surprise player. If there's differences, you can say both. Eddie, you want to go first?
Breakout or surprise? I'm kind of stuck on this one. I'm not really sure if I've been surprised by anyone. Perhaps maybe Soumaré after Mendilibar refused to play him at the start of the year.
Yeah, right? That was so weird. Yeah.
To see how good he was, it's like, wow, you wouldn't play this guy because he wouldn't understand you. and understand your instructions, whatever that was about. But I'm not sure. Maybe I want to say Agume, but I still feel like we need to see more. But for like a January signing, those are usually hit or miss. He was adapting pretty well and improving with every game. That I want to see more of him, and they're considering, negotiating to sign him permanently for next season. So maybe that'd be my pick. Maybe Agume, I guess. Because we kind of played, the standard players we played last season, and yeah, no one really broke out like that to me.
He could also be in the most improved, because I thought as the season went on, he got more and more acclimated to the team and started impacting the game more with his forward runs and being involved in the offensive attack. I thought he was could be considered a shout for most improved, even in from January to where he ended up. So that's an interesting. Steve, you got a breakout or surprise player, or both?
Same as my MVP. I can't say enough about the way he stepped into the squad. He was tearing up like the 5th division of Spanish football. Is that what the Atletico was playing in? 4th or 5th division, something like that.
Fourth, I think.
He was tearing it up through the first half of the season. Got called up to the first team in a signing that I think was a little bit lackluster for a lot of people. A lot of fans were hoping that we would do something a little bit flashier in the January market for his position. But he proved everybody wrong, and he maintained the form that he had at the beginning of the season in the 4th division, in the 1st division against 1st division competition. I don't know how you can make a better first impression in the 1st division of any league than what he did this year.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
That Atletico game, where he scored the only goal of the game, I think that kind of cemented, because like every game he was playing well and getting a chance, either scored or was involved in the goal, and then he had a little bit of a drought, which is normal. But yeah, that Atletico game, I feel like that was my favorite game of the season for how we performed. We often don't have a full game of a great performance from the team, but if it was a standout game, it was that one.
Yeah.
Who was the last striker for Sevilla to have more than one assist in a season?
Striker. WBY.
That's what I was going to ask.
That's my guess. I need to look it up, but I mean, Isak had 4 this year, and that to me is super impressive. In 5 months. Yeah. It reminded us at times of Canute and Fabiano, just with how they shared a little bit. You could kind of see glimpses of that. And I think that's what makes me so upset that we're not going to be able to see a full season of that. And we kind of got, with Isak going down early this past season, I felt like we got gypped of that. If he didn't get hurt, do you think we finished top 10?
No.
Just seeing the fall off, I feel like not everybody was on one song or on one volume, I should say. Like those four straight losses to end the season. Yeah, and it just felt like the collective wasn't there, regardless of who was still fit or whatever.
Yeah, but do you think he would have pushed that? You know what I mean? Like
maybe we would have beat Betis. We probably could have beat Betis in that game, but finished top 10, maybe not.
It's 5. It would have been. We would have needed basically 6 more points to finish top 10. So 2 more victories.
Yeah, who knows?
There's a lot of what ifs, I know,
Marcao's whole career right now is a what if. You know,
Oh
you know
my
what I mean?
god, that guy. Oh,
Yeah,
Markel.
that still hurts me too.
So now that we spent 49 minutes on last season when we said we were not going to talk about it, but it was great discussing. Don't get me wrong, great job, guys. Let's move on to what's coming up next for this club, and that starts with a new manager, right, which has already been secured pretty early here in the off season, which I'm really glad that happened. I'm happy that before we start signing players and putting square pegs and round holes and that sort of thing, that we've got the guy that we can talk to and be like, well, what kind of system would you like to run? What kind of players are you looking for? All that good jazz. Garcia Pimiente. Pimiente. I said that right? Oh, man. Look at that. Pimienta. Damn it. I gave myself too much credit already. My Spanish. I've been trying. I'm just still not there. Anyway. Mr. Pepper is what Tim is calling him on Munchie's Men forums. I really like that, by the way. Coming over from Las Palmas, a product of Barcelona, played one match in his whole senior career with Barcelona, before going down to some other, lower division teams. But anyway, good for him. 49 years old, from Barcelona. He played winger, just so we kind of throw that out there. That's an unusual manager position. You don't see many wingers as managers. But anyway, with that said, coming over, I think he's on a one-year contract plus an option, which automatically renews if he finishes in Europe places, right? Like if he goes, I guess, the top 6 or whatever that's going to end up looking like after coefficients and all that crap this coming season. Anyway, what do you guys know about him? Are you excited? All that jazz. Lay it on me. I'm going to listen as I grab a beer because my throat is like seizing up on me.
You want to take it first, Eddie, or no?
Sure. I don't really know too much. Just that he was coaching Las Palmas this season, brought them up. I think he was with them for 3 seasons. He brought them up last year and kept them up this season. They had a really good start. I'm not exactly sure about the numbers, but they started out on fire and with a really good defensive record. And then it kind of just snowballed. They had a really disastrous second half. I think they only won 3 matches in the second half of the year.
Yeah, our seasons are basically mirror opposites of each other, with the first half and second half.
Right. And yeah, other than that, I just know he's a Barca B. He's a Barcelona product. In terms of coaching, he was coaching Barca B for a while, or in Barcelona teams, I should say. And I guess he's a big proponent of that philosophy of having the ball. Saying he wasn't going to force that idea onto this new team and see what kind of players he has to work with and how these players could adapt to his philosophy, if I could say that. So he's not going to be married to a particular system, but he will definitely try to implement his style. I guess that's an exciting thing. It's a very progressive coach that wants to attack and play with the ball, as long as we do it right, because Lopetegui wanted the ball as well, and we saw how those 3-4 years were like. But I guess it could be somewhat refreshing if that's the vision that the club is going for. Horta, maybe the kind of coach he wants to work with. Hopefully they have something exciting in store for the summer and the players that come in.
I would echo a lot of that too. And Chris, I mean, you mentioned that he came from Las Palmas, but he really came from Barcelona, right? I mean, he spent most of his career anyway at Barcelona. He came through Las Palmas. Las Palmas is really his first head coaching, I guess is what we would call it here in the States, job after being with Barcelona B and kind of bouncing around with other Barcelona coaching positions. So he's really a coach on the rise. This is probably his biggest like management position that he's had. So I think that's exciting. There's a lot of energy that can be brought there. I mean, you see that one of the other managers that we were looking at was kind of a very similar situation in Real Madrid. The Raul who's coaching Real Madrid B, we were looking at these managers who are ready to break into first team football. And that's it's an exciting place to be because you don't necessarily know what the outcome is going to be, but there's a lot of upside because there's a lot of talent in the lower divisions and in some of these second teams, and they're just looking for their shot. So I'm excited to see what he can bring. And Eddie, like you said, he seems to be open-minded enough to not fit square pegs in round holes and play with a team that he's got. Well, I mean, I would imagine that if he's here for any significant amount of time, if he maybe plays into a second contract, eventually we'll get to a spot where we're signing the players that fit into his scheme and we're identifying those players. But it's nice to see that he will, or at least he has said that he's going to be open to other styles of play that match our talents. Another thing that's really exciting about this offseason and our new coach and manager is that this is the first time that we have had a manager and a sporting director in the building for the entire offseason since we had Lopetegui. We haven't had an entire offseason of a manager putting his vision together in alignment with the players that are actually coming into being signed. Mendilibar did not have that benefit last year after we signed him for the second year because we didn't have anybody making player signings. So I'm excited to see what can happen with this moving quickly on players. We've already moved on from some players that seems to be freeing up spots. I don't know how much, Chris, you talked about the finances and the murkiness that comes along with that at this club. But at least there's spots on the first team that have opened up. And
not really, not yet. When you consider all the long players that are coming back, we're still way over. I think we're at 29 players, I think.
But either way, we're not wasting time getting to that.
Yeah.
And we've been rumored to be looking at a couple of players. There's some young players that I can't recall their names off the top of my head, but they're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old who our new manager, Garcia Pimienta, is familiar with, which is exciting to see that they're already trying to move in the direction to set our coach up for success. So I don't know. I'm trying to temper my expectations because I've been burned over the last couple of years, but there's no reason to be all doom and gloom this offseason.
I'm going to give you some hope. He won 10 games with Las Palmas with Sandro as a striker. So,
hey, there we go.
And he finished second in La Liga Smart Bank or whatever that thing's called with Sandro scoring 7 goals and bringing them up. So pretty impressive. I don't know. He only got 1 point out of his last 13 games, I think it was, in the season last year, which is really, really concerning.
That's not uncommon with a team that comes right up, though. They'll be strong out of the gate, and then they just don't have the depth as they start dealing with injuries, as they start dealing with just the exhaustion of playing at the level of a first division. You see that happen a lot where they kind of peter out towards the end. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with a squad that is more I don't want to say better because I don't want to take anything away from Las Palmas, but it's a squad that's more experienced, and they have the experience of playing every year in the top flight. I, I I don't think we can really compare Las Palmas to Sevilla and the way he coached because of just the massive difference in
The big
resources of the
unknown.
squad.
Yeah, big unknown. I'm optimistic, right? Like it's you gotta hope. We'll see. There's a lot of work to be done. A ton of work to be done. I think our salary gets cut to like something ridiculous. Like we can only spend, I forgot the number. I wish I had time to pull that back up, but the salary cap for next year is really, really low. Finishing 14th caused us to drop down to like $49 million worth of TV share revenue or some ridiculous number when Real Madrid's getting like almost 200 million or so. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's something ridiculous like that. It's going to be, and there's no European football, so financially it's going to be a big struggle. We've got some huge contracts, a lot of contracts still in the books. Lamela already left. Torres already left. Those contracts are falling off the books anyway. We've got players on the last year of the contract. A lot of players on the last year of the contract, actually. And I think a lot of those are going to be moved. Hopefully some of them can be re-signed possibly, but we'll see. And with that, we're going to play a little game in or out, Sevilla style. I'm going to run through the roster. Eddie and Steve, I'm not going to participate. I'm just going to roll it off. Give me really quick in or out, nothing else. I'm going to start with one of the contracts expiring next year. And Nesri, in or out?
Out.
Out.
Yeah.
Financial reasons.
Yeah, I want him to stay. But
Lucas Campos.
In.
Yeah.
Re-signed? Last year contract ends next year, 2025. Re-signed?
Pay that man.
I agree. One thing about Campos, the most progressive carries on the team by like over 100. Like it's something ridiculous.
We already tried to sell him. We already tried to sell him, and he just came back, so we might as well keep him, right?
Keep him.
Marcus Acuna.
Out.
In. So re-sign. Last year contract.
In. Just in.
Okay.
Is this what we would like to see, or what we think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That is a good question. Let's clarify that as what would you like to see?
Okay.
If you want to preferences, what do you think's going to happen? You can say that too. We got time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
So I would like to see him stay. He's a key contributor to this team on the defense and on the wing there. But he and Nesiri are our two biggest assets that we can sell, and we can make up that financial deficit that you mentioned, Chris.
Acuna wanted to leave last summer, just putting that out there. We kind of forced him to stay. We didn't sell him. Aston Villa is interested. Monty, of course, is interested in Acuna. To Steve's point, we need money. I'm going to weigh in and say, peace out, Acuna. I love you, but we have Pedrosa. Suso, last year contract, in or out? 30 years old. Suso Nation says in.
Out.
Okay. Steve.
Sorry, who did you say? I was stuck.
Suso.
Yeah.
Suso. Out. Okay. A player that's probably already out but is coming back. Will be on the last year of the contract. 30 years old. Agudins. He hasn't been here enough for me to even learn his name. Ludwig. I'll say Ludwig. Augustus.
Might already be out.
Yeah. They're evidently Anderlecht, or however you say that, the Belgian club wants him. Same thing with Delaney.
Really well. Yeah, it sounded
Yeah,
like
he
they both
actually,
played really well.
he had a good season. Really productive season. Started most of the matches for them. Same with Delaney. Delaney had a good season. Same exact club, same exact result. They want him. So it looks like they're going to try to make a purchase. We might lose some money from what we purchased, but if they're not going to play, why not? So anyway, this one's an interesting one in my opinion. I am curious to hear your answers. 22-year-old, last year contract, Jose Angel Carmona, coming back from a loan with Getafe, who played quite a bit, played right wing, right mid, and right back for the club. Of course, can play center back as well, as we've seen him play here. Not really probably his position, but versatile player, 22 years old.
Out.
Academy player.
Out.
Out.
Man,
In, you want to resign?
yeah, I'd resign him. Especially given the other holes that we're going to probably get to on center back and talking about Acuna leaving. There's going to be a lot of flux in the back line. That's all I'm saying.
Delaney, we already talked about out, right? Both of you
Out.
guys out. I like Delaney, but he just didn't fit in. 25-year-old, last year contract, Mr. Oscar Rodriguez was on loan with Getafe. Still didn't get a ton of playing time, but scored some goals for them. I think he had 4 total, if I'm not mistaken.
Out.
Yeah.
Give him
Same.
preseason, but I mean, out.
All of Sevilla's favorite players. I thought he only had 1 year on his contract, 30 years old. Probably the oldest player with the least amount of time played for any clubs and still be a La Liga player. Mariano Diaz. Also our most expensive player on our roster.
He's already said he's
Next.
out.
Next. He actually did put a statement out today saying
That he was going back.
peace
He's
out.
done.
Peace out. Hopefully he pays us money back, but I don't think so. I missed this earlier. We're talking about I don't know if we talked about most disappointed player, but this was mine, Dimitrovic, last year contract, 32-year-old. In or out?
Out.
Yeah, I'd say out. If we're going to run with Neyland, we can find a younger player to bring up.
Yep. Kid, last year contract, 23 years old. I really like this player, but just never kind of made the jump. Lucimi Cruz, he's already out, so we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
He's at Barcelona, isn't he?
He played for their B squad.
Or...
Yeah, it's Tenerife is where he went. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot who went to the B squad. Anyway. Okay. This one's an interesting one, and I think it's a no-brainer. 19-year-old, last year contract. Manu Bueno.
In.
Yes.
In, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Senior team or
Senior
Atletico?
team.
Yeah.
Senior team.
Senior
Okay. Wow.
Number 27 or something, so it doesn't take one of the spots.
Yeah, the red stream at Atletico, and then he can still play up. I agree. Yeah, then you can have 27 guys on your roster. I agree. I like him. I've seen him play at Atletico, and he kind of plays that central mid, but kind of I would say, I don't know, is he more of a defensive center mid or? I don't know. He plays up. He can go up. He can go forward. He's all over. Maybe box to box is the best answer for him. Yeah. Exciting. 19 years old. You got to re-sign that kid. Now we're into 2026 contract. So not next summer, year after. 20-year-old Juan Luis Sanchez. Will he be on the Sevilla roster this year? Interested. I think some teams like Real Madrid are supposedly nibbling, just they're curious, but that could just be agents talking. In, out?
In.
In.
I agree.
We didn't give Chris enough time to drink his beer there.
I know, right?
We got to talk a little bit more.
Returning player, 27-year-old Argentine Gonzalo Montiel.
Out.
Yeah. Out.
Out with novice leaving. Ooh. All right.
He was an absolute liability in the end of the Europa League, other than making that penalty kick.
He played very, very little with Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Very, very little. 26 contract, 22-year-old Kiki Salas in or out. This is tough already. And he's like,
and we need that left foot. He's in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to see his growth. I like him. He's great in the air. I agree. I don't want to see him get as many minutes because I don't want us to be in the back 3 or back 5 next year. I don't want to see that anymore. But as a backup, good. 32-year-old just resigned last year, I think. Gudeli, often injured here recently. In captain material, Gudeli?
Yeah, he saw quickly. He came back. He's supposed to be done for the season.
Right? Yeah. I agree. I love him.
He hasn't had a history of injuries either. Like this year is kind of a outlier. I mean, he's been a stalwart for us, and he's proven that he's willing to play pretty much anywhere. The team needs him, and definitely captain material. We don't have Rakitic. Maybe we'll have Navas for half a year. I don't know what's going on with that whole situation. We don't have Fernando. Who else is going to be captain? Like he's a leader. Keep him.
I like it. And the Belgian Nianzou, or not Nianzou. Sorry, Januzaj. I'm not the Nianzou yet. Januzaj, the Belgian, 29 years old.
And just so I could jinx it.
I will personally fly to Sevilla and drive him wherever his next destination is. I'll volunteer now. What a worthless signing. Thanks, Monchi, for that one. Neelan just got an extension, but only to 2026. He is 33 years old and our number one keeper at the moment. Of course, he's in, but is he in at number 1 next year, or do we try to sign somebody else?
For me, number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. I thought he was great. Distribution was pretty good. Like it started out shaky in the first part of the year, but it got better as the course went on. It had a really knack of finding like the overtop kind of Isak and Ocampos both when they were both up top. But I liked it.
I just hope that they give him the number 1 shirt because I'm tired of having a starting goalkeeper not wear number 1.
Yeah, lucky 13. Yep. Okay, now we're in 2027 contracts. 24-year-old Bade, maybe one of the highest potential market values that we could recoup. 14 million market value on transfer market, FYI. In or out?
Kind of neutral on this. Whatever happens. If we have to make the money, but he's in for me. He's starting center back for me.
Yeah, I kind of see that as well. Knowing what our other center back situations look like, I think it's going to be a vital piece. But if somebody does come and scoop him up, I'm not going to be upset about it, provided that we can find a replacement for him that's serviceable. I've been really happy with him so far.
I like him too. He seems really nice. Does all the right things. Makes some mistakes every now and again, but that's expected for a young 24-year-old. Sometimes you forget he's so young. But I think he's got to be in the lineup if he can. I know he's worth a lot of money, but we're just so thin back there that you want some consistency. Speaking of consistency and not being the Brazilian, 28 years old, but seems more older than that. Marcal, contract through 2027, market value €5 million.
I was about to say, who's Brazilian on this team?
You forget he's on the roster.
Brazilian. Fernando Del Carlos. Marcal, man. Hey, just get healthy, man. Wherever you decide to play, just get better soon, man. It has to be out, man.
Yeah, it has to be out, but I mean, unless we buy out his contract, right? There's really no excuse to leave or no reason to leave. And I don't think that, given his injury history, nobody's really going to come calling on him. So,
maybe
if he get healthy, and play, I'd be happy to see that, because I do like the energy that he plays with, and
absolutely,
I do too. He's that beef that we need. He was our Diego Carlos to our.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like him. He's left-footed too. And delivers a great pass.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I think he's a really good player. I wish he could stay healthy. But those hamstrings on a body like that just can continue to keep popping for years. But I don't know. Maybe a loan away from the club might be good for him. I mean, we got 2 more years on his contract, or 3 more years on his contract. So got to do something with it, right? Like, I don't know that we could. But I don't know. We bought him for what, 7 or 8. His market value is still 5.
Transfer fee for him?
Yeah. What was his transfer?
It wasn't
fee?
like 15, like 14, 15.
13. So that would be a huge loss. Oh my god, yeah, that would be huge. His market value when we bought him was 12. We paid 13. Yeah. I think a lawn would be best scenario for him at the moment.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite Spaniard, Jean Jordan, 29-year-old now. Jean Jordan. Out, please.
The last time I remember him doing anything of note for this club was when he got hit with that flagpole at the Betis game.
God.
And that was probably...
That was a year and a half ago.
It could be argued that it wasn't a good thing that happened either, because then we ended up having to reschedule. And it was
something of note. Like that's the last time I genuinely remember.
Maybe it was good because it was kind of odd because we were playing with like a Sevilla Atletico goalkeeper in the game.
Fell at an Olympico goal going.
Fekir with the. Yeah, maybe that was a good thing. Yeah.
Let me stick up for Jordan a little bit. He did play well in the City game in the Super Cup. Mm-hmm. That was a rarity. Perhaps because it was a trophy on the line, but he really stepped up in that game.
Market
Him and
value
Rakitic in the middle. Who knew?
Yeah, just go somewhere, regain your confidence, because it's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
Another enigma, French and Ivory Coast international.
Tank.
21-year-old. Contract through 2027. Tanguy Nyanzu.
I think it's injuries with him too.
Yeah.
Injuries and confidence, right? He can play. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want. There's too many question marks. He has to be out.
Would you go for a long deal on him too, or? Well, I think a loan would be good for him.
If someone comes up with an offer, then
it'd be we would take a huge loss on him though. Like,
no, you can't look at that right now. Our financial situation now is a lot different than when we bought him, and it's more so is he going to be worth more now than he is in 2 or 3 years for us?
Is he gonna? I mean, he's what, $4 million now. We paid $16 million for him,
yeah,
and he's only 21. So
that right there is why I say in on him. I want to see what he can do when he's healthy. I remember being very skeptical about him in his first couple of games because he made a lot of mistakes in his first couple of games, but we really kind of threw him to the wolves too, though. He was tasked with being one of the two people to come in and replace Kunde and Diego Carlos, right? Like those are big shoes to fill, and we really didn't change our style of play when we threw him in there. But he bounced back from that, and he showed a lot of resilience. And it just got sidelined by some injuries. But he's 21 years old, super young still. He has infinitely greater possibility of bouncing back from his injuries than somebody like Marcao does, who's 7 or 8 years older. So I say in on him, and let's sit on him and incorporate him into this squad in a safe way, and see if we can't get that. See if we can't get either some production from him or a better market value to get a better value on a potential sale in the future.
I'm good either way. I want to see him get playing time, so I would rather us loan him out. I don't necessarily want us to sell him at 4, 6, whatever we could get for him. Like, it just seems like a big waste, and then just to keep you. I don't know what his salary is, though. His salary could be decently high. I don't think it'd be grand, but it could be decently high. I don't know. Next one's an obvious. Hell, he was already out for half the season, pretty much, doing gymnastics in the gym, or I don't know what the hell he was doing all year. But Rafa Mir, Spaniard, 26 years old.
It's only 26.
Yeah.
Yep.
Third time's a charm. Out. Valencia, please.
Yeah.
Great for all three parties, probably. Just
$16
get the
million.
deal done.
Another $16 million deal we did. Jesus.
But we did not utilize him properly. Part of it is his fault for not trying to adapt and play with the team, but we did not utilize him properly.
I agree. He's got talent. You can see it. It's just
he could finish.
He's got to have his mind right, and I don't know. It's not going to happen here, I don't think. The one that kind of shocked me this year, and I was very disappointed in the little that we did see, and I think he got a little bit of a bad rep. Another Argentine who also has Italian citizenship, 25-year-old, Federico Catani, center back. In or out?
Where was he on loan?
Anderlecht.
Okay.
There's a report that just came out that they might sign him.
Anderlecht might?
Yeah. They might
That's
keep him.
surprising. He only got four appearances there, which is kind of surprising. Not very minutes either. They were like garbage minutes at the end of the games.
Just question marks everywhere. I think he's the only one that's healthy. So I would have wanted to keep him, but out, I guess.
Yeah. Not a very tall center back.
Be all right. We had Gary Medell. We had Gary Medell back there at some point.
We just had a new neighbor moved in as Chilean, and I had a great time talking to him about Chilean football and Gary Medell, and showing him a photo from one of the games that I saw with Medell. And it's always fun to meet new people that are like oh my God, this guy's into Spanish football and he's into a team that's not Real Madrid and Barcelona. And oh my God, he's like a freaking nut fan. Like, it's fun to see like that transition of like, okay, you can stop talking about something now. You know what I mean? Like, I had a little bit of that moment to say. He just moved in, and I purposely like stayed away for a while, and then he finally came to me, and I was like, and you guys know me, I'm very social, and I think I overwhelmed him a little bit, but he was a cool guy too. So anyway, next on the list, and I know everybody's answer, or at least my answer, because I love this player. I hate he got injured this year. 26-year-old Luca Bacchio, Orta signing.
I'm 100% in, but if the decision has to be made that he's out, then it is what it is. I still want Quincy Promise on this team. We can't have everything. So
about him first, don't we?
If we bring Quincy back, we have to like resurrect Maradona so he can participate in Promise's side business.
Yeah.
all you have to do was
Bacchio
stay in Russia, and he'd be fine, man.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
We haven't had the greatest track record lately of like former Sevilla players doing nasty, shady stuff, but oh well.
craziness.
Craziness. Stay sharp, boys. This one's a no-brainer. Just got an extension. Spaniard Player of the Year in some books. Isaac Romero, 24 years old. Exciting
Thumbs
future
up.
for that kid, right? Yeah, unbelievable.
Cool. I just said thumbs up and it gave a thumbs up. That's so weird.
Oh, whoa.
That is weird.
Does it work? Doesn't work for me.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs
You
up.
guys said.
Thumbs up. That's just an iPad thing.
Oh, must be. That's so weird.
Oh, they actually have something cool for a change. Unbelievable. This one is
so washed.
I think we're all a little bit weird on this one. I think he has to stay just because of the length of the contract, but 28 contracts through 27-year-old Mr. So.
Oh, in.
Yeah, same.
Especially under a coach like this, at least I hope could always disappoint, right? So, but yeah, 100% in.
And lots of upside too.
Mhm.
Yeah, he definitely disappointed this season, but
It wasn't terrible. It was just a lot left,
what's his
We desired.
position? Like, what's his best position? Is it?
I think he's
It's a
fairly
center mid?
versatile. Yeah, I think he's fairly versatile. I think he could play in a 2, could play in a 3. He could be your number 8 or number 6 even. But
To me, he seems like a player without like a natural position. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
that season was all over the place. So
That's true. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Last one on my list is Pedrosa. We'll save the young kids for next time, but Pedrosa, 26 years old, contract through 28. He was free to us. Market value currently $7 million.
and
We need
Start.
him, especially.
Starter, or will somebody else be in his position at left back? Assuming Acuna's not here.
Acuna's not here. We start him, right?
start him, but some good competition, maybe like a Reguilon type, not Reguilon specifically, but someone of that
It's
caliber.
possible. He's linked.
You need 2 good left backs anyways, because those
Can't
guys run
afford
a
it.
lot, man.
Yeah.
But
His speed is, he's the fastest player on the team, I think, by far, right?
I'd say so.
So weird. Okay, one player we did not talk about, and he's not on my list here, which is really strange because I'm looking at next season's squad from Transfer Market. This is you can go into the squad and do next season squad. Jesus Navas didn't show up there. We all know he's back, and he's going to be here till December. Like, I'm assuming we're all okay with that. I mean, he should be in. He should be here for the whole season. He should be here as long as he wants to, and I don't know why he's not. It was the weirdest damn thing this front office has done, and that's saying a lot because they've done some weird shit.
Only Jesus Navas is allowed to answer that question. If he's in, he's in. If he's out, he's out.
Yeah. Unbelievable player at 38 years old, playing with the Spanish squad in the Euros this summer. Congratulations to him. Unbelievable. Good luck to all the players playing. We've got Navas playing. We've got Gudeli playing, I believe, in the Euros. I think Serbia made it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Luka
Bacchio.
Geez, who else?
Is Dimitrovic on that squad too, or
No, he's not. He didn't make it.
He didn't make the squad. I wasn't sure.
No.
I saw the thing. I mean, and Nesri's with Morocco, but they just got World Cup qualifiers they're playing for coming up. Acuna's with Argentina, but those are just friendlies.
We got Copa America coming up though.
this summer?
They haven't Copa America this summer.
Copa America this summer.
Oh, word.
In the US.
Okay.
Yeah, so but it starts 2 weeks after the Euros start. So the squads that are released right now are just the June.
Provisional.
Well, no, they're just the June.
They're like the
friendlies.
I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody else that made any squads.
I thought that there was another.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I can't think of who it
Hold on.
was.
I've got the games at least on my calendar here.
Mariano's playing for Dominican Republic, but oh no, I'm just kidding. He didn't even make that squad.
I'm gonna say it right now. Canada is in a group of death again, but
what about your boy? Is he coming to Real Madrid?
probably.
Sounds like it.
Mbappe? What?
Ugh.
I'd like to see it.
I mean, I love him as a player. He's unbelievable, and I hope for whatever is best for him. Good player. Except for when he plays the US or Sevilla. Then he sucks. Just for grins, Agome, would you make the purchase?
Yeah. But if they don't, then they don't. But yeah, I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Pretty cheap. We have nobody in the midfield next year. So
and that's it.
That's it.
And maybe contract Jordan, right?
Oh, yeah, Jordan.
Officially.
Meno Bueno. If you consider him, I think it'd be cool to see. I don't know if you guys know enough about the Sevilla Atletico players, and maybe we'll try to get somebody that does know on the next show. I don't know if Jim's even following too much anymore, but it'd be good to kind of go through that roster on our next episode, just to kind of see if any of those guys can make the jump. I've got one that I think is going to make the jump if the coach will, allow it.
Who?
The new kid, the guy that spent a lot of time up already. Dumbo.
Oh, Dumbo? Yeah, we'll see. Because wasn't he not starting the last?
He wasn't starting. He wasn't starting because he's been up with Sevilla. He's been on our bench,
but
since 2 months ago.
Okay. But it seems like the kind of player that might interest the coach, but we'll see. He might still be too young, right? So
I think he's 18.
Not too young in terms of age, but sort of experience. But yeah, I'd like to see him. I want to see Zarazana. I've been wanting to see Zarazana from time.
Especially now that he's back. Cappy's another one. Cappy's a midfielder that's more of an attacking midfielder that led the team in assists this year. captain of that squad. A decent player. I really like him. I mean, they've got some talent. I mean, we got the guy that from Manchester United that we purchased.
Mejia,
Yeah.
Colombian, right?
Ended up
Yeah.
scoring 4 goals, I think, since January. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how many he scored. Yeah, I mean, Zarzano's good. Even what's his name? That plays the wing. Led the team in scoring after Isaac left. Oh man, what's his name?
Oh, yeah, I forgot homie's name as well.
Musa. He's Gambian, I think, right? Yeah, Gambia.
Mm.
Decent player, like super fast, got some shiftiness, can score. Plays on the right wing. Maybe doesn't track back a lot. Defensively, maybe not his strong suit, but
Can't have that, man.
he keeps playing though, and he scores. Yeah, Mateo Mejia, the Colombian. We got him from Manchester United. So I don't know. That squad's young, talented. Let's see what happens. We've got the young kid So that's on that team, and his cousin. That's the coolest thing. I love it when you got kids that moved with it. So you got Ibrahima So, the one kid that's really good, and then his brother his cousin plays. He's not on the official roster because he was playing down. He's actually older than Ibrahima. But
Bakari, right?
What's his name? Bakari. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, here he is. Yeah, the reserve team, Bakari. So it's fun to watch, like kids that are related being on the same team. That's always cool to me. But anyway, lots to talk about coming in the off season. I think we'll probably be more active this off season than we were last off season because I think it's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot of exciting things. Nothing really from the club as far as preseason tournaments being announced. No shirt kits being released yet. There's some rumors. I saw some shirts today, and I really, really hope that those are accurate because they were baller. But it's probably just some kid in the Photoshop like playing around. But if those are the real ones, I'm gonna be broke this summer just buying all 3 because wow, they were great. Anyway, I don't know what else to talk about other than the Sevilla women. They finished 7th, 43 points. Kind of disappointing end of the season because they were as high as 5th, I believe, at one point. Didn't finish exactly where we want, but I think didn't Martin the striker for us, the Preto, I think she made the Spanish national club for like whatever they got going on right now, the women. And then of course our girl Tony Payne is killing it with Nigeria. So good for them. Good season. Anything else? What else you guys want to talk about? We're an hour and 38 minutes. Holy cow.
This is one of the longest we've had in a while.
We haven't talked since February, so I mean,
might have to split this in 2. But this might be one of the first summers where I don't really have like a wish list of. For one, I don't know who we can get, and 2 is like, let's just see what happens. I like the players we have already. If we're able to keep Luque Bacchio, Campos, Isaac, I'm happy. If we get to keep Acuna, then I don't need nothing. I don't need nobody. Just take care of the defense, get Bade a partner, and then we're good.
Yeah.
I would love to bring back the striker partnership. I mean, that's kind of my wish list. I know that's not going to happen realistically. I would love to see a full season of that, just because of like selfishly, it's kind of like reminiscent of old times, you know.
It's a
like
throwback, yeah.
Yeah, because I could see us doing a 4-4-2 and just, oh my god, that would be amazing.
There's no guarantee that he's going to leave, that Unnecessary is going to leave. We've tried to sell him in the past, and he hasn't gone. I hope that he does, just for the financial sake of it. But I guess I would not be absolutely shocked if he was here for the beginning of next year as well, like at least for the first half of the season. So maybe we will get some more time. Maybe we will get some more time.
It's tough.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities. All I'm saying.
He has to leave because we can't afford to re-sign him. I mean, that's the reality, because he's gonna want money. He's gonna want to get paid, and it just makes sense.
1 year left, right?
Yeah, he's out in 2025. So I mean, this is the time to get rid of him, and it sucks too, because that's gonna hurt his market value a little bit. But maybe some Premier League team will come in and overpay. But they're going to get a hell of a player, and I'll stand on that. He's been a really good player for this club, and we'll talk about that later. But he gets a lot of flack, and he misses some stuff. But I mean, we were looking for a player after Ben Yedder left, and we got him. If he fed him the ball, he was going to score. So good on him. Ben Yedder, would you bring him back?
Next question.
You don't want to touch that one.
Not going there, man.
Yeah, I don't really know that either. I haven't watched enough of him play since he left, honestly. I was sad to see him go, and then isn't there also some baggage off the field with him as well over the last couple of years that has come up?
Yeah, good player, but I don't want to touch anything that's anything around that type of stuff. So
yeah,
we're better than that. So sorry, but
that's also one of the reasons why I don't want Montiel to come back. So
yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. Same situation. Exactly. So good call, guys. It's been fun. I missed you guys.
I missed you too.
It's been kind of therapeutic, actually. I actually feel really good after this. So we should have done this maybe a little sooner. Let's do some more things in the summer. Maybe we'll try to be active and just do some really quick hitters, 5-10 minute maybe shorts or something on YouTube, where any of the transactions that happen, we can jump on and talk about them real quick, and then just add some more content. I think that'd be fun. If you like that idea, let us know on Monty's Men. If you don't like it, well, I don't really give a crap. We might do it anyway. But if you do have suggestions, if you want to be on the podcast, let us know. We enjoy talking to all of our Sevilla fans and other people. I do have some things lined up in the summer that I think will be fun, that a little different than we've done in the past. So we'll talk about those later as soon as I make them happen. I don't want to give too much away and then disappoint as I've done in the past. So, but with that said, until next time, guys, vamos mi Sevilla.
Vamos, campeón.
Y nunca te rindas.
Yeah. How do we do this? I don't even know. All right, guys. Peace out. Go to bed. I'll see you later.